One special item here for my friends, the Steeler fans. Yes. And please let me know if you've heard the story about this item. This is an elevator panel, like the elevator over here sits above the elevator. It is from Old Three Rivers Stadium. Anybody remember the story about this? Because the story in Pittsburgh is slightly changed. 1972, Steelers' very first playoff series. They're playing the Oakland Raiders, and they're losing in the fourth quarter. Mr. Art Rooney, the owner of the team, says, well, I'm going to take the elevator down. I'll be in the locker room when the players come off the field. I'll remind them what a great season we had. While he is in the elevator, Franco Harris makes the immaculate reception. So when Mr. Rooney gets to the locker room, they're cheering, and he doesn't understand why. So at that point, he has missed the most famous offensive play in team history, but he then got to see it on replay. So there were a couple of items Three Rivers Stadium donated to us. This is one of them. Steeler fans have a slightly different version. They hear that he was trapped in the elevator. He wasn't trapped. If you've ever been in a stadium elevator, they're not the fastest things that move, okay? No. So by the time he got down and got over to the locker room, a lot of things had transpired, including a famous catch. The Steelers did not win that game, however. They lost that game to the Dolphins. That was the Dolphins' perfect season. Steelers went to the Super Bowl the very next year and won the first of their 6 championships. Okay, obviously a pair of high-top shoes with screw-in spikes, but I'm going to ask you a question. About what decade do you think these are supposed to be from?
50s.
30s. Winner. These shoes are about 14 months old. They are from the movie The Leatherheads, but that movie was supposed to be set in the 30s. And about 6 pairs were donated to us. When they were preparing to make that movie, the costume designer came to Canton and spent a week here at the Hall of Fame. So the uniforms, the shoes, everything was fairly close to what they would have worn at that time. I don't know that these were worn by George Clooney, but you want to hold them and promise yourself that they were, well, you're welcome to do that. I can't tell you exactly who wore them. In addition to looking like a big bunch of yellow wire, this is part of the heating coil system that was in place at Lambeau Field in Green Bay for the 1967 Ice Bowl. What's important about it is this system had to be turned off for that game. Prior to this, Vince Lombardi had visited the Air Force Academy. They were the first stadium to have it. They didn't use it during a game. They used it in the spring to promote grass growth. Lombardi decided this was a great idea for the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field and had it installed. And that game day, the equipment manager came over and said, Coach, I have very bad news. We have to turn this system off or it's going to burn up during the game. And it cost Lombardi $1 million in the mid-60s to install it. It's about 8 inches below field level. Lombardi said, what's the problem? He said, Coach, this thing only works above 0, and it's currently 13 below 0 air temperature. If I turn it on, it will burn up. You'll have to replace it in the spring. It will not work during the game anyway. So they had covered the field with a tarp at night. When they turned this off, the air between the tarp and the grass became condensation and froze. So you see players digging in like this during that game. It's because there was a thin sheet of ice on the field. So this item actually is on loan to us, and I'm not sure the name of the museum, but it's from a museum in Wisconsin. And occasionally we loan things, and occasionally we get things on loan. And my last item also has to do with the Packers. This is not Vince Lombardi's attempt at improving the Packers sweep. This actually is the idea of a Packers superfan, Mr. Larry Primo. 1988, Visa began a fan hall of fame. Each team would nominate their superfan. He was the very first from the Packers. He said he wanted to put together the 2 great loves of Wisconsin men, deer hunting and the Green Bay Packers. If you look closely inside this helmet, you may have bought this helmet for your son for Halloween, but you wouldn't send him out to play football in it. So we tried very hard to see if any of these signatures belong to football players. We cannot verify any of them, but we're pretty sure these are tailgaters. These tailgaters are pretty popular in Green Bay, that he would walk through the tailgate parties. And I'm pretty sure that Larry never paid for a beer or a bratwurst during those parties. So when he was selected to the Fans Hall of Fame, he donated this helmet to the Hall of Fame. And this both talks about the Packers and also talks a little bit about people who tailgate. Any questions on these items?
Yeah, for once.
Thank you, sir. If not, thank you so much. This is one of my bigger groups now that we're into the summer season. Enjoy the rest of the time. We apologize that the Super Bowl area and the Game Day Theater are currently under construction. Hopefully they're going to reopen the first week of August just in time for our enshrinement. If you don't live too far away, hopefully they gave you kind of a rain check that you could come back before the end of the year. However, the Super Bowl rings are still on display. If you take the stairs of the elevator